Well, hello there, friendos. How are we doing today? I hope you're doing very wonderful. Today, I was going to give a little cat sermon, as is my want and my desire. And this one's going to be a little bit of some mixed themes. We're going to be talking about a little bit of forgiveness again, because I find it to be a very important subject that needs to be touched on more often. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about a few different things. And for today's setting, I decided that it would be nice to just stay outside in this nice little area here with these lovely trees and all that, and a lovely, really big tree. And part of the reason for doing this is that recently I've been spending a lot of time on a server uh, where they talk about the Hellenistic gods, and they talk about Hellenistic polytheism and other things like that. And I thought it would be nice in a sort of, I guess, bit of honor to them in a way to be outside. Now, of course, Hellenistic pagans don't always pray outside or anything like that, and often they would pray inside of a temple. But I thought it would be kind of nice to just have an open air type prayer. Different groups sometimes pray in like open air type of temples and things like that. So I thought it would be nice. And today our focus is going to be this big old tree. Isn't that a really nice tree? So today I will start us with a little prayer, making the ring. I like doing this. I like having a little ritual. So, oh sweet divine mother, please guide us. Guide us so that we may embrace love in our life. Guide us so that we may embrace forgiveness in our life. Guide us so that we may be like little children unto you. O sweet divine mother, guide us and give us wisdom so that we may make the right decisions, so that we may be a light unto the world, and so that we may bring joy to the world. O sweet divine mother, please guide us. O sweet divine mother, fill our hearts with joy. O sweet divine mother, fill our hearts with the seeds of forgiveness. O sweet divine mother, please guide us from the unreal to the real, guide us from darkness unto light, and guide us from death to immortality. O sweet divine mother, please bless us all, and bless every person on the earth, and please make our burdens easy, and please make us strong enough to carry the burdens we have to have. Amen. Okay. So, and today we're also going to do a little prayer to Athena, because I found this one online that I liked, and out of all of the Hellenistic deities, um, Athena is the one that I personally find the most attraction towards. Um, we could have arguments and we could have discussions about what we think, how we think Athena might fit into a larger pantheon, but I believe that she is another aspect of the divine and that we should respect her just like any other aspect of the divine, whether we're talking about Christ, Krishna, Kali, or anything else. Now, what your personal relationship is with her, I mean, that's between you and her. But I was just going to share this little one because I found it and I rather enjoyed it. And I do not think this is an ancient one. Um, this is just one I found online that someone uh, dedicated to Athena. I think there are some which are much more like ancient based and things like that, but this was one I found, so we'll share this one. Clear eyed Athena, unrivaled in wisdom, daughter of Zeus and Metis, whose craft and wit excelled among the mighty Titans. Athena, I pray to you, wise in all things you are. Goddess, your cunning and guile are well known. In time of war, you have no equal in tactics or strategy. Many armies have you guided to victory. In time of peace, your blessings fall on those whose work is of the mind friend of the philosopher, the scientist, the student, advisor of kings, patron of the clever, heroes and the bold hearted adventurers, defender of the thinker, mistress of reason and understanding, goddess to whom a strong arm and sharp sword are nothing, without a sense of without the sense to wield them well, and the insight to know when words are worth more than weapons. Athena, grant me a sound mind and steady temper. Bless me with good judgment. Show me the long view. Okay. I thought that that was just a nice little thing. The only thing I was kind of stumbling a little bit because there's commas in a lot of kind of weird places in that. Now that I'm reading it for this, I'm noticing that there's a few weird commas. I'm like, wait, that doesn't it seems like a weird place to put a comma. But anyway, it's perfectly fine, you know. You know, we take on numerous different forms for the divine. We incorporate numerous different forms. Some of us worship divine strictly as, you know, like Christ. Others are is Krishna, or you know, maybe we're into the formless. Maybe we worship it as Allah or Brahman as the strictly formless, or things like that. And we all have our different preferences and desires. And I mean, I personally am very attracted specifically to the image of the Divine Mother, of Makali, of Jesus Christ and Krishna. Like, I actually have my shrine set up right now where there's Christ, Kali, and Krishna, and like they're in a little line there because those are the three aspects of God that I most frequently return to, and I find the greatest joy in praising. But I praise any numerous different aspects of the divine. And you know, we find that if we open our hearts, the divine can appear to us in a rather wide variety of ways. I find it very interesting because, for instance, someone I was talking to about the Hellenistic stuff, they said that they wanted to have a religious experience, but they would be upset, you know, in a joking way if it was Christ because they were wondering why they wouldn't have happened when they were Catholic. And I pointed out, or at least I tried to say that, well, you know, they're still the same. It's still the same greater divine. It doesn't really matter, you know. I mean, it would be kind of funny, but you know, sometimes our Lord it very much enjoys play. You know, like we always like to have these very simage, very serious images. I guess simage is just the combining of serious image, but we always like to have this very serious image of God. But I think we often forget the playful aspect of God, and we often forget that there's a lot of fun. God is a very fun figure, and you know, I I think it's interesting too because sometimes you know I wanted to talk about how we view God. Um, you know, we have images like the baby Jesus, and we have images like, you know, the baby Krishna or the baby Rama, and you know, we can look at God and have a vision of God as our child, as something that we don't expect anything from God. We just want to take care of God. We just want to love God. We just want to embrace God. And God is just like the warmth of our hearts. It just brings forward the glory of the divine. And part of what is interesting about this to me is you know, God is willing to play with us in a wide variety of roles. I mean, we have our roles where we go through life in different roles, but you know, we are in a sense all Brahman, or you know, Shiva, playing a different role, doing a different part of this grand cosmic dance. And you know, there's parts that I think we always need to remember though, like you know, we have our different roles, and That means that sometimes we have to react to situations differently than we would otherwise. Where, for instance, maybe you have a coworker, and when you're just coworkers, you can let them goof off and stuff like that. It's not really a big deal. And then when you're a manager, at least depending on the role, if it's important, you might make them try to goof off less. I mean, I'll be honest with you, if I was a manager of a lot of people, I would probably let people goof off all the time because I'm not really too worried about it. But, like the way we approach things becomes different. Or just like, well, maybe as an example, maybe we're not too worried about marijuana in our regular life. And this is just an example popping in my head, but like we're not too worried about marijuana or alcohol or whatever. People can do what they want, but when you're the parent, you feel a very different role towards, like if your son or your daughter starts drinking and smoking a lot of marijuana, you might have a much stronger opinion on that than if it was some random person. And in all these roles, we have different relationships to the people around us, and we need to remember that that's true of everyday life, but it's also very true of our spiritual life where we take on different roles. Sometimes we're kind of a mentor, sometimes we're just another practitioner, sometimes we're in a position to really help somebody out. And other times, it's like with God, God will take on different roles in our lives, and sometimes God will be, like I said, like our child, and other times like our sweet mother or like our great friend. You know, I was listening to something by Swami Sarvpriyananda, and he mentioned that there was a sadhu who always referred to God as his buddy, not just his friend, but his buddy, his great friend. And I thought that was, very beautiful and very wonderful. And, we should also remember that no matter what roles we have, there are certain things that we should always be embracing. And, as an example, Ephesians 4:32, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgive each other, just as in Christ, just as in Christ God forgave you. Um, we always need to be full of forgiveness, but not just full of forgiveness. We also need to be, full of love. In Bhagavad Gita, this is in chapter 9. I am equally disposed to all living beings. I am neither inimical nor partial to anyone, but the devotees who worship me with love reside in me and I reside in them. We should always be both someone who is full of forgiveness but also full of love. We should always be um, trying to be one with God in the sense that we are lovers of God and we are lovers of the divine reality. We are always seeking to, spread that love and be worthy of the great love of God at any time, you know. And we should also try very hard not to judge. Judgment is something that is kind of difficult for some of us. I know I sometimes have a judgmental mind. I don't mean to, but sometimes people just say things. You're just like, well, you kind of sound like a bit of a dummy. You shouldn't be doing that, and you should always try to remember, like this is Luke 6:37. Judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. It can be very difficult, in some situations, not to judge other people, but we really should try. And what I'm finding is the more I read throughout the different scriptures, I always come back to these different principles of love, forgiveness, and not judging one another. And that always sounds very trite in a sense that like everyone's like, oh well, that's just being a good person. It's like, well, yeah, it is being a good person. But we very specifically need to embrace these things because I meet a lot of people who talk about these values, but then, kind of reject them in times of crisis or in times of just everyday life. It's like, well, I'm not very judgmental. And then you'll hear them judge 80 people in a row, or they'll say, oh, I'm very forgiving. And then you'll hear them, like hold on to all these different grudges and things like that. And what we need to remember is that you know, the path of love, the path of bhakti, of devotional love, is not It's not just you say I love God and you just drop everything else. What it is I love God, so I'm going to treat people better. Because God is within everyone. So, I'm going to treat people better. I'm going to forgive, not because it's just quote unquote the right thing to do, which yes, it is, but it's also because God is the ultimate love, and better yet, if you really want to get close to God, you have to embrace these values. You have to embrace forgiveness. You have to embrace love. You have to embrace, not being judgmental. You have to embrace these grander ideas. And and this is from Saint John of the Cross. Wait, excuse me. But this is from Saint John of the Cross. In the twilight of life, God will not judge us on our earthly possessions and human success, but rather on how much we have loved. The the truth is that you'll frequently be in these situations too where you're really going to want to hold a grudge, but you're really going to want to act. But sometimes the very best thing you can do is just breathe and just acknowledge, because ultimately we're all human and we're all playing part of the divine Leela of God. We're all playing a divine part of God, and even in the worst people um can still need to be forgiven and loved by us. And you know I find that the more I let go of these things, the easier it is to come towards God. And if we really embrace those things, we'll find that God runs towards us. Like if we run with open arms towards God in our every interaction. And part of this is also just mindfulness in the sense that as we're going through life, we need to occasionally just stop, or just, stop as often as we can and remind ourselves, I am here to forgive, I am here to love, I am here to embrace wisdom. I'm not here to hold a grudge or to be a problem to people. And some people it's just like it's just for fun. We say, oh well, I'm just messing around. It's like, well, yeah, you can mess around, you can have a bit of fun, but your fun also shouldn't be at somebody else's cost. Whenever you can do that, and once again, let's not pretend any of us are perfect and that none of us ever slip. But that's another thing, is like in this forgiveness, it's not just that you're forgiving towards other people, you're also forgiving towards yourself. So, if you make a mistake, it's not just, oh no, I've failed and now God will never love me, because obviously not. God is all loving. God is this wonderful, wonderful being who will always love you and always give you second chances and always forgive you if you're willing to forgive others. So, you know, when you misstep, you shouldn't be like, oh no, I've failed. It should be more like, okay, well, maybe I didn't live up to the standards I've set myself. And now, it's a lesson. It's like, okay, so, I know that I'm not perfect. And then you can look at another person who's made a mistake, maybe towards you, or maybe has done, something that annoys you or something like that. And you can go, well, this isn't just a good example of them also needing some work, but I forgive them for causing me an issue, and I don't want to hold it against them. That's ultimately what a lot of this is we have to let go of these little petty things. And on the path of bhakti, what we're really doing is we're letting go of a lot of these itty bitty things. We're letting go of the world in a sense, and we're dedicating all of our actions and all of our love towards God. We're you're not really renouncing things in the sense that you're not like trying to renounce like your emotions or things like that. But when you love, it's towards God. When you're mad, maybe it's towards God. If he's like, oh, Lord, I've given you all this dedication, why can't I see you? Or something like that. Or when you forgive, you say, God, I forgive this person for you. You run open arms to the Divine Mother and you ask her for boons and understanding. Like, I want faith and devotion. That's what I want. All this other stuff, it comes and it goes. This is what I really want. I really want, faith and devotion. And no, this is the problem with having notes, and sometimes you move a page and you move the wrong page. um, and I think that this verse here from and it's kind of funny too because a lot of the verses I noticed that I'm using this week I used last week, but hey, they're good verses. And in Mark 11:25, and whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father, also who is in heaven, may forgive you your trespasses. I kind of, well, here, let me try that one more time just because I read it a little weird. And whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father, also who is in heaven, may forgive you your trespasses. The Lord makes it so that when we forgive, we are forgiven. That's the ultimate way um to really move into and move closer with God. But if you do, and this is Matthew 6:15, but if you do not forgive others their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. And this is um there it is. Galatians 3:13. Bearing with one another, and if you have a complaint against one another, forgiving each other as the Lord has forgiven you, so you must forgive. And like part of the reason I'm kind of I'm trying hammering on this too is because I find that a lot of people, they'll hear it and they'll think that it's good, but then they won't actually um continue with it. And we're trying to do this so that we can grow closer to the Lord. And this is Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 verse 30. Even if the vilest sinners worship me with exclusive devotion, they are to be considered righteous because they have made the proper resolve. Like you can be like the most vile person on the planet, but if you continuously try to get close to the Lord, you'll find that you'll be growing closer to the Lord. And that's the thing that's funny too, is because the people will say, "Oh, well, that means that God will forgive you anything." Don't you think God should judge some people? And it's like, well, that's up to God. I'm not even worried about any of that really. But the thing that's also interesting here is that it's not just that God will consider you righteous because you worship him. It's like the more you worship him, the more you'll be driven away from vile deeds. If you truly worship him with an open heart and truly worship him with love and desire, I find that there's a lot of people out there who say that they worship the Lord, and I hear the way they talk about it, and it seems like, well, no, it seems like you have a transactional relationship or you're trying to have a certain relationship, but the truth is when you really dedicate yourself to the Lord, not superficially. That's part of the problem too, is that in a lot of cases you'll find that there are people out there who will say that they dedicate themselves to the Lord, but if you really listen to them, it's all very superficial. It's all very like, oh, I go to church. It's like, well, okay, but do you pray to God with love in your heart? Do you give up the little things of this world that are trying, like, do you actively work to improve yourself and things like this? Like, well, no, I just go to church. It's like, well, okay, look, going to church is fine, but that's not the main thing here. The main thing here is always to try and open up your heart with love towards God, and always remember that God is um everywhere within this. And here we have Matthew 22 verses 36 through 40. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law of all the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. And this is John 13, verses 34 through 35. A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. And the thing that's interesting too is we can talk about this in the sense that, okay, well, yeah, I love my fellow Christians, or I love my fellow Hindus, or I love my fellow Buddhists, or whatever, whatever. We can say that. But when we say love, we don't just mean have pleasant feelings towards one another. We mean embracing one another as brothers and sisters and actually, striving to help them. It's not just, oh, I love you, and then that's it. Like you can say that until you're blue in the face. That's not the important part. The important part is having this heart of forgiveness and having this heart of understanding and acceptance. And it's like when you love someone, it's not just that, oh yeah, I have some feelings for this person. It's that you want to forgive them. It's that you want them to be happy. It's that you want them to grow. You want them to have understanding. You want them to do better. It's not just this little sentiment, and there's also action involved in this, you know, because sometimes the people around us, like I said, they'll really get on your butt and things like that. But the goal is to love and to look past them getting on your buttons. And I wanted to um, reread part of the Devi Suktam this week because I was thinking about it. The Rudras, the Adityas, the Vaisadevas are but my diverse manifestations. In me are present Mitra, Varuna, Indra, Agni, and the twin Avikshmas. I'm sorry, I have a hard time with that word. Asin Ikumararas. I'm not 100% sure how you actually say that. But, all these deities are within the Divine Mother. In me are present Somadeva, the slayer of enemies Sattva, Usa, and Bhaga. I offer marriage of yajna to my devotees who prepare the somasara and please gods through oblations and sacrificial fire. I lord over the whole universe. I am supreme erudition. I am the first venerable deity in all sacrificial rites. I offer prosperity. I am present in all beings in various forms. All gods and devotees venerate me everywhere. The being who feeds himself, who sees, who hears what is told, and who sustains life only owes it to my grace and powers. One who fails to perceive me as the guardian of the sensory organs and life force lives a dissipated life. O glorious friend, listen to me. I am telling you about the supreme knowledge which can be gained through loving eagerness. I have myself expounded this knowledge of the absolute Brahman, which is venerated both by men and gods. I make him great whomso I desire. I make him Brahman, make him Brahma, or Rishi, or an erudite scholar. I used to provide a bowstring to Rudra to slay the demon who defiles Brahmana. I wage war to protect mankind. I have access both to the mundane world and the world beyond. I have created the firmament stationed on the crest of the earth. The supreme cosmic consciousness, which is the center of pervasive intelligence, is my yoni, and for that alone I have entered into all beings, and as such I am present in all forms. Moreover, physically, I permeate through this world. While creating the whole universe, I blew myself through it like a wind. I have transcended the world and the firmament by dint of my powers, and verily I am the universe. And I always found this very beautiful. I very much like it, but I also like this line a lot here is, I am telling you about the supreme knowledge which can be gained through loving eagerness. You need to be eager. You need to go in with love and attempt to really embrace that and really attempt to understand that and to run towards that at all times. we need to move towards this and understand that once again that this is an action, not just, part of it, and not just, you know, yeah, I love people, man. I totally love them. It's like, no, it's more than that. It's more than just saying it. It's actually acting on it. And it's important to know that this is the foundation of all bhakti. This is the foundation of all devotional service. This is the foundation of so much spiritual progress is moving towards that direction. And this is from the Rig Veda. I, I found a couple of quotes from the Rig Veda, and I wasn't going to go through to find the exact area where this is in the Rig Veda, but I'm going to look and see if I can find the actual verse number next time. But sing the song of celestial love, O singer. May the divine fountain of eternal grace and joy enter your soul. May Brahma pluck the strings of your inner soul with his celestial fingers and feel his own presence within. Bless us with a divine voice that we may tune up the harp strings of our life to sing songs of love to you. And I should also say that this isn't, like I said, you're not going to be like just going from event to event, just doing like the bare minimum or anything like that. You're going to be going through from event to event, so that you can, be in joy too. Like that's another thing. Like really getting close to the divine and really getting, oh, excuse me, itchy nose, and really getting close to the Lord and always like trying to seek the Lord's favor and always trying to be, in love with God and always trying to um, understand uh, your place in all of this as well as everyone else's place in all of this. You'll always come back to the Lord in all ways and shapes and forms. And I think that's a very beautiful thing to consider. And I think that's something that's very great to go for. And this is something that's kind of funny, but I'm gonna get ready here for the end prayer. But I'm a silly Billy because I thought I had the prayer of St. Francis written down. But I guess I did not put it in my notes because I'm a big old silly Billy. I just had to look it up real quick. You'd think I'd say it enough that it would have been memorized by now. I think I kind of have it memorized, but I want to have it actually correct. Um, so here we're gonna face the big old tree, and we're gonna start with the prayer of Saint Francis, and then I have another little prayer, and we'll call it for there. Lord, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring love. Where there is offense, let me bring pardon. Where there is discord, let me bring union. Where there is error, let me bring truth. Where there is doubt, let me bring faith. Where there is despair, let me bring hope. Where there is darkness, let me bring your light. Where there is sadness, let me bring joy. O Master, let me not so much let me not seek as much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that one receives, it is in self forgetting that one finds, it is in pardoning that one is pardoned, and it is in dying that we are raised to eternal life. O sweet Lord, please grant me mercy. O sweet Lord, please grant me wisdom. Lord, let me be a vessel of your mercy, full of your sweet nectar of love and divinity, so that I may share it with all beings around me. Lord, may we come home to you, and may we come home as children and come and rest on your lap. Lord, let us drink the nectar of your mercy. Lord, let us be a vessel of forgiveness. Lord, let the seeds of forgiveness grow within us. O sweet divine mother, please guide us. Sweet Divine Mother, guide us so that we may bring light unto this world and may be your light. Let us be a lamp in the darkness. Let us be the vessel of pure nectar. O Lord, guide us. Guide us from the unreal to the real. Guide us from darkness unto light, and guide us from death to immortality. Om Krim Hakalikaya Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. All right. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope that you'll take some of these lessons to heart. Bye. Be blessed.